I mean, it is 5 o'clock. So we'll go ahead and open meeting of the Development Review Board of the Town of Grafton. 5 o'clock. First item on the agenda is the review of the agenda. Our main order of business is hearing the application for minor subdivision from the Women Foundation. There's no other business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Any comments? Okay. Motion by Matt Sienna, second by Steve Fisher. Discussion? There being none, all those in favor of approving the agenda as is, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So we'll go straight into our public hearing. 5:01. The hearing we have before this Development Review Board, the Town of Grafton, a request from the Wyndham Foundation for classification as minor subdivision and for subdivision approval to subdivide its parcel number 008187.
No, it should be 7-7.
Thank you.
They put it right. I did a typo. Somebody.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
A request from the Wyndham Foundation for classification as a minor subdivision and for subdivision approval to subdivide its parcel 008177, consisting of 148.4 acres into 2 lots, namely Lot 1, consisting of 9.25 acres, and Lot 2, the remainder consisting of 139.15 acres, located at 533 Townsend Road, Grafton, Vermont. And also a further request for a waiver pursuant to sections 161 and through 171 of the Grafton Town Subdivision Regulations. The waiver being requested is described in the example cited in section 161. That is combining sketch plan review and final plan review into one hearing for small subdivisions with insignificant impacts. At this time, I would ask members of the board to disclose any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications. Understood that in this town or community of this size, there are going to be contacts, but we're talking about specific to this request. Any ex parte communications or direct contacts. Okay, thank you. There is a sign-up sheet going around. Anyone who is in attendance should sign that if you have any desire to speak on any point during the hearing. At this time, I will direct the applicant and your representative and any interested party to take the following oath. I hereby swear that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, do we have all the written information, Bill?
Yes.
In front of us. And at this time, we'll go ahead and take testimony from Administrative Officer Bill Curtis.
The notice was published in the Grafton News as February 25th edition, published approximately February 1st. And then it was mailed on the 23rd, on January 23rd, 2025, to all the listed abutters of the property. And I sent it by registered mail. They all received it that I know of, except that the Brailsfords being in England, I probably never would have gotten this thing back anyway. I mailed it to them and emailed it to them, so they are aware of it. And I had no comment back from them. And then Reagan Wilson and Mary Alice Wilson their envelope was returned but not able to forward. So I don't know. And I left it at that. It was also posted on the two bulletin boards here, one in the market. And then Kurt posted it at the cheese factory, right on the road in two different places, sent me photographs of that posting, and he did that, I think, on the 24th of. Yeah. The pre-existing subdivision are handled as stated in 142, that all subdivisions lawfully in effect and effected by these bylaws are allowed to continue indefinitely. Any re-subdivision or other changes to the subdivision shall be subject to all applicable requirements of these bylaws. So when the re-subdivision was like a subdivision. The subdivision regulation describe the procedure for 3 separate hearings, sketch plan, 230 and 233 of the regulations, minor subdivision, 240 and 244, major subdivision, plan, a second hearing, and a final plan in 250, 259. That's as it's set out. Depending on the classification as minor or major, a subdivision is determined by the DRB pursuant to 232, and depending on the DRB's decision on the request of a waiver, combining the sketch plan review and the final plan review into one hearing, as stated in 161. Having made the requisite findings, the subdivision is a small subdivision with insignificant impacts. The DRB may, so if they made that finding, they may determine the subdivision as minor, but has insignificant impacts and has significant impacts unless go through both sketch plan and final review, as is described in 230 and 240, or determine the subdivision is minor and find that the impacts of the subdivision are insignificant, and thus a waiver may be granted to combine sketch plan and final plan hearings into one hearing. And then the significant or insignificant impacts to Article 3 or Article 4 are determined by the DRB. Article 3 concerns the issues with application requirements, sections 310 and 340, and Article 4 concerns issues with design standards. Section 400 states that all criteria listed below that are relevant to the applicant's proposed subdivision will be evaluated by the DRB for impacts. The criteria are listed in sections 410 and 46 through 460. And based on all that, I recommend that you hear the sketch plan review, determine the classification, and if it's minor, then take the procedures further, or if it's major, decide what you're going to do. That's the way I recommend that you proceed, but you guys can proceed as you want.
Okay. Is there any objection from the board if we go straight into sketch plan review?
No. Okay. Okay, then can I continue for sketch plan review? Okay, for sketch plan review, with regard to the subdivision, which you have a copy of, and there are large copies if anybody needs to look at them. There's one on that table, and there's one on each of these tables. And if anybody wants to take time to look at it, there's smaller copies of them around too that are fine unless you want to read the fine print. So, but we have it up on the wall now. And there is one right of way created through lot 1 for access to the bridge and the benefit of remaining lot. The access for the remaining lot is directly off Townsend Road. The right of way is 50 feet in width and complies with section 431 of the roads and subways, and in particular paragraph 3. should the remainder lot later be subdivided and the town move to serve the resulting parcel. What we're referring to is Rose's, when you do it, when you are making a subdivision in there by cutting off public access to the other lot, then we require it has a 50-foot right of way and right off the road so that there's no restriction to to go right back there. If you were to subdivide that property, then you could put a public road through or use that right of way to get to it in any case. Okay, and in the meantime, it's their access and the foundation's access. Should this property be sold, it's foundation's access to the property that is otherwise cut off by this subdivision.
So lot two's access is via the covered bridge, or?
Yes,
Like one of them, yeah.
yes,
And there,
that's one way to it.
Yeah, the ponds is the
the
other.
ponds,
Ponds the other way,
certainly,
yeah. Yeah, that's not the only access, but this property would cut off that access, and so they're providing.
They wanna
right
keep
of way
that.
to get through.
Yeah, I want to keep that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's footbridge?
Pardon me?
Footbridge considered an access?
No, for, I get it. It
That's
is.
out of the.
That's
Big fire truck.
But that's not according to subdivision, breaks them covered footbridges that I know of.
That's not even involved with this piece of property anymore.
It goes into the,
No, well, but he's talking about another access to it, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and the survey presented for this subdivision, this subdivision of the property of the Wyndham Foundation, Inc. is, in my opinion, adequate for this hearing. Note that only lot one was surveyed by Depot. He puts that note in the bottom of the map. They didn't, it would be very expensive. But anyway, they didn't do, but that is an old survey done by DiBernardo. Okay, that's shown on note 5. And I didn't ask Debo, I thought he was gonna be here, but do you know if the pins are set? There are pins marked on the map that's set.
Our understanding is they are set. I haven't physically seen them, but I believe they're confirmed. I believe it. Yeah.
Okay, so if you were to approve this, then in your conditions, just state if they are not set, they have to be set before it's done. Then I don't have anything else unless there's questions of me.
Are there any questions from the board for the administrative office or reference the schedule? All right, there being none, then we will go straight on to hear the applicant. Any testimony or evidence you care to present to the board?
Sure, yeah. First of all, my name is Kurt Alpinger. I'm the CEO of the Sheets Company, and Dan Lerner's here with me as the executive director of the Wyndham Foundation. And just a quick thank you to Bill and Morgan for all their help in getting ready for this. That was greatly appreciated. I think, I don't know if there's a particular order here in terms of the waiver and discussion of minor or major subdivision, et cetera. But, I think I'll start by just saying, if it's not, clear already, that there's no change in use with this. I think everyone's very aware that Cheese Company is being sold, and we are in the very last steps. This is one of probably 3 final steps that we're going through. Everything else is pretty buttoned up. We're hoping to close here in the next few weeks. This, along with some environmental testing and getting current use through the works, are kind of the remaining components. The company who's acquiring the plant is not looking to make any changes to it. You know, it's the point of purchasing it, right, is to keep it going, keep it vibrant. That's one of the key components to it. So I think in the context of minor or major, it's our belief at least that this is, you know, a minor subdivision and that there is no change of use. It's literally just this one lot. It's fully bound by the river and the road, so it's a very kind of clean piece of the property. It doesn't really change anything from that respect. And we are asking for the waiver largely from a timing standpoint. We've been going through this process for several months now, and I think everyone, not to speak for the town, but certainly for the foundation, for us, for the buyer, and I think the community, we're all anxious to kind of get this over the finish line. And given the fact that it's not changing its use, it really, from our perspective, seems like a minor subdivision. We wanted to combine the processes, expedite so we could get this done in the March timeframe. So those are some of the moving parts that we have, and happy to address any questions as well.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
I have a question, but it really doesn't pertain to any of our regulations. I'm curious to know if any of what is subdivided off as lot 2 ever had or was intended to be materially significant to the cheese plant business itself, or are they just so completely separate that our drawing an arbitrary line is of no consequence?
Yeah, a long time ago, we grazed sheep on the other side of the bridge. And so we use that for some of our milk production, but that's long gone, and there was never any plans beyond that, both past and future, in terms of the use of that property. That really is all part of the Grafton Trails. So no.
Does the acreage, the 9.25 acres of lot 1, is that sufficient for disposal of the byproduct, the way?
Not completely, but we were using that field for disposal of whey, but there are a host of other fields that we use for whey.
But they won't belong to the new owner.
No, but there's an agreement that we have with Russell that he does all the whey removal for us, and we have agreements with other landowners to distribute that whey.
Okay.
And that's all staying in place.
We will have public comment at the end.
That's right.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, other questions from the board? Okay, then, other interested parties, Wendy, go ahead.
My understanding is the way is managed as part of the agriculture residuals management program. And I just want to go on the record saying that the whey removal or whey disposal is pretty awful in town. I've complained about it for the different, when Liz Vatkowski was president, and then when Bob Donald was as well. And you're saying that this is going to continue when there's a new owner, they will continue to be disposing of whey the same way?
At this time, there's no plans for change. I could certainly inquire. I've not been informed of any plans to change that.
Because the dump is considered part of the village center. I would think that, yeah, at least everybody in the village center can smell it when it's being dumped, so it does. It impacts our being able to walk, take walks, skiing in our fields, do that kind of thing, because it's truly overpowering sometimes. So I just want to go on record saying.
Thank you, Wendy. Do we have any other public comment? Is there any additional testimony from the administrative officer, the applicant, any interested party? If not, then we'll go ahead and we'll close the hearing and we will enter into our deliberative session. Or we'll make our decision, we'll discuss,
Okay.
if we want to do it here or go into deliberative session. So we'll go ahead, hearing. Five, 20,
5:20, okay,
okay, and then we will,
Mr. Chair, if we could, so it'd be easier for us, because Danny is on the line, if we could stay here,
right,
okay? All right. And so if the hearing's closed, then we'll stop the recording, Mr. Chair.
yes. Does anyone